So what are the two best AI businesses for us non-technical folks out there? And that is going to be the topic of this video, because everyone thinks you have to be technical to get involved with the AI revolution, and that couldn't be further from the truth. I should know I am non-technical and I make millions of dollars with my AI consulting business, okay? So in this video, I'm going to break down the two most common paths, whether you are a beginner or an expert, whether you have a lot of AI knowledge or a little bit, that you can go down and actually make a bunch of money for yourself, either as a solopreneur or start an actual fully fledged business and get employees and all that great stuff. It all starts off with AI consulting, right? So AI consulting is just going into businesses and helping them adopt AI, right? So I give it the acronym AIC. And AI consulting, as there's many other videos on the channel I talk about, we come in and actually audit companies. So this is the one tried and true path. I do this all day. I've helped literally over 2,000 people do this. And this is where we come in and we do an audit. So through the audit, we actually are then identifying, so we're diagnosing the business problems. We then recommend, then we'll do implementations, and then the outcome can also be advisory, okay? This is what a full flow would look like. And as an AI consultant, as a non-technical individual, this is actually where you will focus, and then you can also come down and do the advisory part here too. So what goes on into an AI audit? It's essentially 4 to 5 key parts. So you've got a series of interviews that's done, you've got a series of mapping out the workflows of that business. You then need to identify where AI can help solve some of those workflows. You then identify all of those given opportunities and you essentially rank them. And then finally, you actually build ROI calculations around what their current wastage is and how much AI can essentially save them. And then you really put this all into a really nice fancy deck and present it. And that is really the outcome of an audit, is basically a deck. Now, the nice thing about this model and why this is the most beginner friendly is you don't need to be technical at all, okay? Like genuinely not. If you know how to send a Google Calendar invite, you know how to talk to people and help them solve problems, and you can follow a framework of instructions on how to run an audit, you can genuinely do this entire part. And audits on the low end, even people starting out, you know, you're talking like $1,000 would be like very low, but pretty commonly they're 5,000 plus, like 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, depends on the size of the company. I've done audits over 50K. It really just depends, but totally non-technical can absolutely do this. For the implementation, which you can make more money doing, right? If you are technical, you can do this, but if you're not, like I'm not, I just outsource this, okay? So before I had my own in-house team, I actually used to outsource it. So I had deals with a bunch of AI automation agency owners, right? Which was let's call it the traditional path of starting an AI business, right? So people went out and started building NAN and make workflows and Zapier and all that stuff. That never resonated with me, right? So I had to find a different route, and that's how I did it here. But luckily for us, there is 1,000,001 of these people out there that we can outsource the implementations to. And then basically, you know, we'll get anywhere from 10 to 20% off the top. So let's say an implementation is 10 grand, we'll get another 2 grand. So a pretty common scenario for us consultants here is $5,000 for an audit, and then let's say another 2 to 5 to 10 or whatever for the implementation. And that's for a much smaller company. That is like a 10-person company. So pretty small setup. And then finally you got the advisory, and this is where you, again, still as a non-technical person, will help these businesses stay on top of where AI can actually help their business specifically. Because as you probably are aware, AI is evolving so quickly that stuff AI couldn't do 6 months ago, it can now do. So having a retainer where you are within the company and they look at you as the AI guru for them is what the advisory really comes down to. So you are then basically going back and making more recommendations, right, in time, which lead to more implementations, right, and over time more advisory, and it's a nice little feedback loop. This is one path. I discuss this a lot on this channel. The other one that I don't discuss a ton is what I will call AI teacher. Now, this model really resonates with some people, and you might hear what I'm about to tell you and just be like, hell yeah, that is exactly what I want to do. And there's people in my community like Frank and Annie and Elliot who absolutely love this model. So here it is. The AI teacher is essentially focused on corporate trainings, workshops, employee upskilling. These are essentially what an AI teacher is focused on. So you focus on corporate trainings, workshops, and employee upskill. So employee upskill is extremely important, okay? This is where you are getting adoption and getting their employees of a company to start using AI to make themselves more efficient, more effective, right? This is key to getting adoption in implementations. So with my consulting firm, for example, one of our implementations always is workshops and employee upskilling, because this is what we have discovered essentially a prerequisite for having successful actual implementations within an organization, because there is no one that stops the process of adoption more so than employees. Like if they just don't want to use it, they just don't use the tools, they're just not going to do it. Like it doesn't matter how good the systems are, they just ain't using them, right? And it's all well and good and very easy to say, hey, well, you just change out the staff. But in the real world, especially if you've got good, long tenured staff who are skilled and know what they're doing, that's just not really an option for most traditional businesses, candidly. And a lot of it is to do with scared. They're essentially scared, okay? So let me talk you through. So corporate trainings, workshops, these are all kind of the same rough roundabout thing, just slightly different framing. So corporate trainings is just crazy money. Like even think now, you know, if you come from a corporate career, how many times have you, whether you entered the role or throughout your tenure at the role, have you had to go to a workshop or a training, a new bit of software's come out and it might be a 1 day, 2 day, 3 day workshop, right? Like I remember when I was an engineer, I had to go to a CATIA workshop. CATIA is like the CAD modeling software. And it was like a 3 day workshop. I had to go and attend, right? Like that was just part of it. I know that my company paid, I think, £2,500 for me to attend that. There was 20 something people in that room. Corporate trainings is huge business, and companies like really, really, really want this right now, because just getting employees to upskill them to understand where like they could use ChatGPT, where they could use Claude, where they could use Perplexity, where they can, you know, use some of these basic AI solutions just to speed up their current tasks is like massively valuable. The way corporate trainings tend to look, and like when I've done I've done more employee upskilling because of the auditing. So audits, implementation, recommendation, one of them's always employee upskilling and basically making them more AI native. It tends to be a process of adoption, and I tend to do it through like a multi-stage process. So it looks like this in a very simplistic format, and I will just want to consistently get people more and more familiar with tools and what they can do, and start getting them to adopt them for smaller tasks that they find useful, right? So step one could literally be introducing them to, you know, ChatGPT. Let's just make it like a dumb, simple example, right? Step two could be make their own custom GPT, right? So if you have a GPT Pro account, you probably know this, but you can start making your own GPTs where you give it instructions and you say, hey, the point of view here is to help me craft perfect invoices. You know, I'm going to give you this information every time. I just want you to spit out the perfect invoice, right? And you basically give it instructions. So step one could be introducing them to ChatGPT, giving them tasks around that. Step two could be, hey, now we want to make your own GPT and just get it working, and you just see how it can be solve repetitive tasks over and over. And then step three, refine. So this is where they've gone from adapting and developing this thing by themselves to, hey, we now are instructing you to improve it and evolve it in a manner in which basically makes it even better for you as an individual. And then the final part might be to automate. And this is really dependent on the company, but you know, there might be in some cases the opportunity for N8N or Make or Zapier or many of the no-code platforms to be put together to essentially string together lots of prompts, lots of little nodes to just complete one very simple task, right? Now, again, these are very simple. Like we are focused on very, very simple stuff here. So, you know, they might have an invoice processing one or an email responding one or an email categorization. We're keeping this stupid simple because remember, these people a lot of the time genuinely have heard of this stuff and have absolutely no clue, right? I was literally through an audit speaking to a director of marketing of an insurance company, and she was awesome. And she heard of ChatGPT. I'd never used it, never logged in, didn't know what it could do, and was very excited about, you know, can it help me respond to emails? Can it help me do that? So it's crazy. Positions of big companies in people in positions of power, like someone like a director of marketing, you might assume would be very native to this stuff. Totally not true. And the biggest mistake a lot of people make in this AI world, especially those of you who are into it, is thinking that everyone else is just like you, and that couldn't be further from the truth. If you are watching this, there is a very, very, very high chance that you are in like the top 1 or 2% of all the people in the globe who are just much more AI first. 99% of people are not, right? So use that to your advantage. Very high level, these are the two business ideas that you can go down being non-technical. So you got the consulting, which focuses on the audits, which will get you paid, a good amount up front. Okay, and then you can get paid a commission on the implementation. You can also get advisory on the back end. This is at the 95% of what I do. And then there's the AI teacher, which is definitely a part of the implementation, especially obviously like I touched the employee upskilling, but there is plenty of people I know who went and changed their consulting firm to be much more like an employee or a corporate training firm. And I know people making hundreds of thousands. Like one guy last year, his first year in business doing specifically this, he made $400,000 last year in his first full year. And he actually came from the AI automation space, didn't like it, didn't want to be technical, had to find another path, basically saw an opportunity. One of his clients has said, hey, could you, come in and do some workshops? Ended up doing a couple of days workshops, and that's what you're at. The final point, which maybe I should have actually touched on is from the teaching side. So like people like Christy, who is another one of my students who I've spoken about as well. She got a $7,500 paid speaking engagement for being an AI consultant. So 3 days, $2,500 a day. And that is essentially, on stage training, right? About, consulting, running audits, employee upskill, and that's what she's talking about. So you definitely can get speaking engagements if this is your focus, because people want to bring you somewhere where you can, help essentially at scale upskill people and make them more AI first. So if you're non-technical, these are your two best options in my opinion. I literally know both. I know people in both of these. I know people making 8 figures in this one, and I know people making high 6 figures in just this world. And it really depends on what resonates with you more. So if you vibe much more with being like that whole teacher, helping students, all that stuff, this will be really great for you. If you're a bit more like me and you enjoy diving into, businesses and fixing real world problems and all that stuff, the auditing and consulting side is probably going to be the thing that is better for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Smash the like button, hit subscribe if you want more content like this. Check out this video up here too. I'll see you in the next one.